And welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining today's session. As Maria mentioned just now, we will be going through just an overview of the advantages, the strategic advantage of the cloud. And today we have a special guest with us, Diego from Microsoft, who is the data and AI specialist. He'll be going through our key workload focus today. We'll be talking a bit more about the data and AI space. And then, of course, we're going to be taking a bit of a look at security and how this meshes with the data and AI space. And, of course, how to maximize our investment by extending the Azure security stack to our hybrid environments. So we probably had this discussion before, you and I, one-on-one or in a session before, where we kind of delve into the benefits of the cloud. But just to reiterate and to have these things top of mind, especially when it comes to having the conversation with your customers, we kind of delve into the benefits of the cloud and kind of zone into the cloud economics and why it is going to be a good investment for your customer's business. So we know that with a cloud-based model, of course, we have the on-demand nature of the services and the resources there. And you have, in many cases, that kind of inherent elasticity where you can grow with the capacity. You no longer have to provision for your capacity ahead of time, but you have the kind of instant scalability and the strong availability behind that as well, with a strong SLA from Microsoft attached to these services. So now, not to mention that you have now much better control over your capacity optimization, which is always going to be important when it comes to maximizing your ROI. But since you no longer need to be provisioning resources in anticipation of peaks or changes in your workloads, you have a better way of managing that capacity and, of course, by extension, managing your customers' costs. Now, from a security and compliance perspective, Microsoft provides solutions for security, such as the overview of Security Center, which is your single pane of glass for your security posture of your environment, and where you can um, manage certain security features such as Defender for Cloud and get an idea of how you can ensure that your environment is right out of the box, more secure and more compliant. You have the recommendations, you have the steps to take if your environment is not compliant or fully secure. And of course, you have threats and remediation actions that you can take to ensure that your environment is constantly secure. Now, one of the most important things that I always drill is that the cloud is consumption based. And this is substantially different than how we consume in an on-premises model. And I know a lot of our customers tend to like the on-premises model because, of course, we're more familiar with it. When we hear about recurring costs, everybody's head starts to hurt. And we don't really get to the nitty-gritty of how it's actually beneficial to the customer. So it's important to remember, one, that it's consumption based. So from a financial perspective, you have the flexibility of being able to provision resources as needed, to not pay for what you won't be using at a point in time, to be able to pay for that scale or that elasticity when you need it, in terms of when you have peaks in your capacity in your environment, and when you have that cut back and you don't need that anymore, you can turn on or off resources, you can provision and deprovision resources, you can use less capacity. And of course, there's another thing to consider in this sense, that you are not spending upfront for capital expenditure. and investing in like physical hardware, you're able to better refine and optimize how you'll be spending over a period of time. And so it gives you a better long-term focus on how you can maximize how you are spending in each arena, not just for your IT, but how you can then reassign funding in the short term to long term to capitalize on other aspects of the business while you continuously pay not upfront or not all of this great capital expenditure. And of course, you have the potential then to increase your ROI, to decrease some of your operational costs, and to, when projected properly, and this is very important for us as resellers and us with you at MC3, to have a proper projection of what our customers' environments would be like, so that we do have that line of sight, predictable spending that we can give to the customer. We can showcase that, okay, this is what you'll be spending over time if this is what your environment is like. Then, of course, when you move from CapEx to OpEx, you can spread out the costs over time rather than having to shoulder that initially for an initial investment and an initial setup. And of course, my favorite part of life, I always talk about this, hybrid. So with hybrid integrations, you're able to capitalize better on your investment. So whether it is that you already have, your customers may already have infrastructure on premises that maybe it's not time for them to refresh, or maybe it's not time for them to move, or maybe some of the workloads that they have, it's not the best suited for the cloud at the moment. You can augment your environment with the cloud and keep certain aspects of your environment on premise, so they don't have to throw out an investment that is already there. It is simple for them to kind of integrate that and get the benefits of the cloud, as well as utilize what is already in their environment. And when it comes to the big factors that come into play when we talk about maximizing our ROI, is to get it right from the beginning. And with the Microsoft well-architected framework, it's basically a guidance and or best practices that we should utilize when creating these environments to ensure that the quality of the architecture and the infrastructure that we have in Azure is going to be aligning with what is necessary for the customer. And of course, it's going to basically align the actual needs to the technology, so that we're not putting in resources and infrastructure that's not needed. We're not putting in things that are not secure, that are going to cost us in the long run, that may open us up to vulnerabilities. And then, of course, we know cyber attacks can be costly. So you want to start with, want to take a look at the different pillars of this. And the first one is cost optimization. And successful architecture is driven by how much we know about the organization's requirements. The purpose of this is to ensure that we are in alignment with the business goals and we can achieve better ROI while staying within an allocated budget. So therefore, some of the things that we'll have to consider for cost optimization is that we meet business needs as best as we can within the budgets of the customer. And of course, this is going to give us some trade-offs, because we'll have to consider what the budget will allow for, what the actual needs are, and how we're going to prioritize how we are creating a solution for our customers. Then we look at operational excellence. And we can understand this in a broad sense, where we want to ensure that applications are running effectively over time. If they're not running effectively over time, you might see where you are getting incorrect usage, you're probably having issues with the performance of your applications. That's going to lead to business challenges, which is going to cost the customer in the long run. And of course, you want to ensure that these things are tight knit from the beginning so that you don't have issues when it comes to performance efficiency as well. And so when you have the cloud, you're able to have that kind of scalability, as we mentioned before, and you want to be able to handle increased load with little to no impact on the performance of the environment and the applications. Because of course, this is also going to lead to business challenges, not just from a technical perspective, because we can't have the technical perspective locked in a box, but we also have to consider the business perspective for our customers and how this is going to affect them. So being able to predict workload variability, peak activity, is, sometimes impossible. And so we need to have that kind of efficiency where our applications can auto scale, they can scale up, they can scale out and meet the different demands without having our customers having that kind of downtime. Then, of course, we take a look at reliability and building reliable applications or infrastructure in the cloud is going to be different than how we are doing it on premises. On premises, we have redundant hardware. We have increased capacity in terms of getting, as we mentioned before, for the performance and the operational excellence. We have that in place, but it's just, sitting there until it's used. And of course, while it's off peak, no capacity being utilized, we just have all of that hardware being paid for while we're not using it. And so we want to build our applications in such a way where we have that reliability, banking on the performance efficiency and the operational excellence, which of course the scale in the cloud allows us to have. And then of course, security, which is the glue for everything in all of our environments. If we have no security, we have no environment. It's one of the most important aspects of the architecture. It's the glue that holds everything together. And of course, with Azure, you have all of the built-in securities that you can utilize, as well as third-party security tools that can be purchased from the marketplace. So whatever it is that your customer is comfortable with, you have that available to you. All right, so now that we have gone through just the benefits, we want to hand over to Diego just to take us through the data and AI section of our session. Hi, Diego.
Hello. Good morning,
Hi.
everyone. I think you can see me there, right?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, great. So let me share my screen. Okay. Can you confirm if you are seeing the slide there?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
See your
great.
screen, yep.
Okay, yep. Great, thank you. So, good morning again, everyone. My name is Diego Diaz. I work as a data and AI specialist. I oversee Caribbean region. I am in charge of data and artificial intelligence for both public sector and commercial business in what we call SMCC, that is corporate accounts in Microsoft. So I have been working with the territory since like 3 or 4 years now. I worked sometime for what we call SMB and now for the corporate segment. So it's a pleasure to be here. I do have some slides to share, maybe just to continue the conversation around ROI, but in this case, more focused on the data side. So feel free to place any question here in the chat. I think as we are a small group here, we can even have some Q&A time at the end of the session. So let me start here. Everyone is talking about data and AI nowadays. You will see that. So this is just like a quick introduction, and this is important because probably, as you may know, this AI topic is not something like totally new or brand new. We have been hearing and working with AI since 1950s. So we have heard about a lot of concepts around artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and now Gen AI. That those concepts are usually used in similar contexts and not always in the same way, on the right way. But just to give you some context around what is happening right now, this big change that happened with the ChatGPT or OpenAI models is bringing a lot of new ways to do businesses, productivity, and so on and so forth. As you know, Microsoft has a partnership with OpenAI, and we are building a lot of copilots for every specific product we have, and we are trying to give access to. We're giving access to OpenAI models for our customers to build their own solutions, and this is tied to improving productivity, operations, streamlining different processes, and of course, this is a conversation that we have always. That is an ROI conversation because we are improving different areas of the business here. So straight to the point here, this is a report of the most common use cases on AI from IDC. And there is an interesting quote there that says, companies that are slow to adopt AI will be left behind. So there are some other reports around ROIs for AI projects and that. As I always say, that this is like an engineering principle. With AI happens the same as you are doing or developing a program, right? Garbage in, garbage out. So at some point we will talk about data readiness on that. But these are some of the common use cases that we are seeing around AI. Some of them are not new again. We are just improving some of the, let's call them not that smart chatbots to become more smart and understand better our natural language. And you can see that healthcare, manufacturing, retail, fintech, automotive, agriculture, and marketing are some of the industries that are using the most AI solutions. And they are finding a lot of value on this just because I have seen like a cross industry use case for intelligent chatbots for support, for example. So we have been working with some customers creating that kind of first layer of support, IT support for internal users, where you can just streamline the tier 1 or sometimes tier 2 tickets for an intelligent chatbot, and then you can just go ahead and make your support teams to handle level 3 and 4 and all the escalations needed there for support. So we are improving the interactions with that. I have seen cases for HR, insurance, and a lot of things around AI. So you can see here some numbers, some hard numbers around percentages for people that says that 95% say AI is key, but path toward implementation is unclear. That's a challenge. Long production lead time, taking more than 7 months from AI pilot to production. How to make this scalable. Scalability is challenging. Many projects fail. This is not only around AI, this is around data too, overall. That's why having like a good implementation, a good framework is a key here. And I wanted to mention something that probably will mention again in some slides, but when we are talking about data and AI projects, we are talking about projects that affects in a positive way, of course, our businesses. So if we are talking about creating dashboards or having like projections, budgeting projections for financial departments, we are there talking about the core business most of the times. I am saying this because if you think about migrating a virtual machine or updating Windows Server versions or doing upgrades on that. That's important for the IT operations. But when we start talking about data and artificial intelligence, we are saying, okay, this is important for the business itself, and we are getting money because we are, I don't know, increasing cross-selling opportunities, or we are having better visibility around our earnings, or we have like a better financial path to follow because we make some predictions and we do some forecasting based on analytics. Sorry. So that's why I'm telling you that data and AI is important for us to take in consideration when business our strategy to go to market, right? So in terms of what has been happening with AI, probably this timeline it can go like to 2015, something like that. Microsoft has been working in responsible AI frameworks, thinking on the proper way to implement this. And you will see here a lot of milestones around compute, around investments of hardware and GPUs, because one of the things here is that if you think on an LLM and large language model, and you say, well, I will run this in my on-prem data center. So good luck with that. You will, at this point, at least right now, it will cost you a lot of money to go and buy hardware and GPUs and that, and keep that running will be expensive. So that's why, and this comes back to what Adriana was telling us around scalability in the cloud. You can turn on, train the model, turn off, and then use what you have there. So this is one of the advantages of having this, of course, because in this case, Microsoft Azure as public cloud has made the investments to have this hardware available in different regions around the world, just to put these models at hand. Here, just a quick overview of how we see this in different stacks. We go from experts using Azure Machine Learning Platform, meaning that you can build models from scratch. You can use your preferred programming language there. You can train your models. You have compute power there to use it. We can turn it on and off as needed. We are working with a water authority in Costa Rica that they are doing some forecasting for consumption and some other numbers because they need financial backups for everything they do. And they are doing like ahead 4 years of data, 40 years of data that they need to just forecast on that. And this can take up to 2 days in a laptop. And we are doing this in like half an hour in the cloud. So then you can turn off the service as soon as you finish, and you have all the different measures that you need for the business there. If we move to the stack, we can go to different models where Azure OpenAI service relies. This is not like a technical conversation for today, so I won't go deep in how it works, but at the end, what we are trying to do here is just having this line of services that are ready to use. So I don't need to go and use like TensorFlow to create a library, to train, to use different words, but I can use directly a speech-to-text service or text-to-speech. I can use language to do translations. I can do decisions. I can do vision, and I can use OpenAI. So this is out-of-the-box solutions. If you think about this, then again, we go back to ROI. We go back to time to value. In the past, to use something that Azure OpenAI, I had to train like 2 or 3 different models or 4, and I start working together with them. And time to market could be, I don't know, 2, 3 years or 1 year, depending on how many developers or specialists you have there. Now we are shortening that to less than a year. I have seen some use cases where you just want to do like a data repository and connect it to OpenAI, and you can take like 2 or 3 weeks doing that and have it in production. We have some other scenario-based services. Again, these are services that you can just grab and use there. Bot service, AI search, document intelligence, video indexer. Now we have this powered, this Copilot Studio, that is working as out-of-the-box chatbot with OpenAI. So it's a pretty interesting approach. And then we have applications, and we are going to talk about Fabric in a minute. But we have Fabric, Power BI, Power Apps, Automate, and Copilot Studio there. And then we have application, that is the end users taking advantage of this. If we think about data, and let's talk about specifically data here. data readiness, data state, and everything that is tied to these concepts. We can even include data governance here. All those topics are important to start creating value around data services. Everyone wants to be like a data-driven company, and being a data-driven company means a lot. And it's interesting because you start seeing the value of having your assets properly configured and properly organized in the organization. So you can see some questions here that are key to an AI transformation. So where would you focus on your AI innovation? Should I work with internal employees to go just give them tools to work around this? Where would you apply AI to serve your customers and partners better? A lot of times, customer service departments are looking in innovation for to improve customer interactions, to improve recommendations, to create customer 360 profiles and that. The other question is, where would you apply AI to streamline operations? Again, goes tied with automation tasks, automatic reading, summarization, and some other use cases. The most important topic here is your data in order to fuel this innovation? That's a good question, right? And sometimes we need to start from scratch there and trying to check if we have a data catalog, a data glossary, data classification rules, or even if we have identified which are our data assets, our priority assets, and then start working from there. And there is a question here where will you build versus partner? And means a lot because if you think about quick value, you can think in something like Copilot, M365. But if you think, okay, I need a partner to build something more robust or a custom AI solution where I will need a web application, this can be tied to OpenAI, and this could be serving our customers or our internal users. Probably a company will need a partner there to help them and guide them during this process. If we go here, this is another way to say the garbage in, garbage out quote here. So AI is only as good as your data. Every organization is scrambling to bring AI to their data state. Sometimes this could take a while, sometimes it could be fast, depending on the data maturity level and depending on what we want to do. So here we are landing in the analytics phase, and we are going to talk about Fabric in a minute, and I will tell you why is that important when we talk about ROI and analytics projects and time to market. What you see here, all these products are like commonly in our customers' infrastructure. So you can see there, like, no, this is small, but you can see there ETL, ELT tools, data generation. You can see applications. You can see hardware. You can see models, and you can see a lot of things here. So these environments are fragmented. Of course, management here becomes a challenge. It'll be overwhelming here. And this is an interesting quote too, right? Simplify. I am the chief data officer and don't want to be the chief integration officer. If you think about the value chain of a data product, the value is on when you start taking the data to make decisions. So the integration part should be easier and the management part should be even easier. When I say management, I am referring to hardware management. I am referring to going, have to buy a server, wait, I don't know, in Caribbean, like here in Costa Rica, we sometimes have to wait up to 6 months to a specific hardware to come. Same happens when we need to replace a hard drive or something like that. So we need to buy the server, we need to buy the licenses, we need to provision licenses, configure server, take a look at our rack and see if we have enough space, to think on all the air conditioning stuff there. So that first step of the project could take, I don't know, 6 months, 1 year. And then we can start working in data integration. Where are the data sources? Why I'm putting here? So I have seen projects, on-prem projects of data analytics, like can take up to 2 years just to start having some dashboards. So again, this is time to market, right? In that time, if we are competing and our competitors are using cloud-based solutions, probably they could do that in 6 months or less. If we go to business transformation, we are talking about here are some causes of technical complexity. As we have taught many products, different user experiences, different management experiences. We have proprietary, both proprietary and open. This happens a lot in banking. We have platform service, we have SaaS, dedicated, serverless. We have a lot of licensing models. Data governance, is a pain point, to be honest, in most of the organizations, both Caribbean and Central American, as per my experience. There are some exceptions, but most of the times we need to start from there. So build the building blocks for a good data architecture should start from data governance. That's the recommended path. If we talk about Fabric, and this is the interesting part of our bet in analytics, is that we are talking about software as a service, same as Power BI. In fact, Power BI, all the Power BI Premium, P1s, nodes, and that are going to disappear, and now we are going to start talking about only Fabric. But the idea around this is having eliminate data silos. You will see one lake there. That's a concept that will ring a bell. You will think on the OneDrive. We call it OneDrive for data. So we can have the one lake and just start uploading files there. As I mentioned, we are talking about SaaS solutions. We are talking about AI readiness, because everything that you are putting there in the one lake, it will be ready to consume and to make some insights and create AI-ready applications. And of course, we always take security seriously. So security is present in all the cloud services with all the frameworks and all the certifications that are being done in all our data centers there. So I won't go deep on this, but I just wanted to mention that what we are doing with Fabric is just putting together the end-to-end for analytics, from data extraction to data modeling to data science, machine learning, all the different steps of analytics and advanced analytics will be in a single box. So again, just if we think about this versus build something from scratch and then go and install SQL Server and configure integration services, reporting services, and start maintaining all the, temp DB for the data warehouse, cleaning logs, updating versions, patching, and that. You can forget about all that here because all that is being considered and maintained by Microsoft directly. And you have that last layer of control. That is, of course, your data. You can control your data. You will have encrypted access to your data. You will have access control through something like Entra ID. You will have governance on top of each specific folder. This is a lakehouse approach. This is not something that is not new. So what we are using is utilizing like a storage account at the end of the day that is one lake as main repository for data. And then we are building logical data warehouse, and we are doing a lot of things around this. So integration is important. You don't need to migrate to your data state to start using something like Fabric. There are, of course, some benefits around migrating something like SQL Server to the cloud in terms of costs, but you can keep the systems on-prem. That happens a lot with companies that have like legacy systems, or they just acquire some new hardware for the operational databases. So we can start doing a hybrid scenario there, ingesting data and having this end-to-end environment available. Let me just jump to this. Okay.
Let's see how Microsoft Fabric can bring together data from multiple clouds into a unified data estate.
Okay, yeah, this is just a quick overview of the portal. If you can see that you have used Power BI in the past, this is the same portal, but here what we're doing is creating a lakehouse and creating a data pipeline. So we are, when we refer to a pipeline, is the process that we ingest data from point A and we use as a sink data repository. We can use shortcuts, so you don't need to copy data. But what I like about this video is that showcase that we are using a single portal. We are not jumping from tool to tool. We don't even need to go and open a SQL Server Management Studio to control the data. So we are using this in our web browser directly, doing data analytics, doing data extractions, and doing data batching, even stream data, live data could be here. If we are talking about dashboards that need something like IoT devices sending data, so we can just use this. And this is what I mentioned. You have one lake installed in your computer, and you just can drag and drop your files there, and you will have the data ready in the portal to use. This is interesting. This is like a new concept of all-in-one for analytics, and this is like the next level in terms of what we are trying to do. One common question from both customers and partners is that if this will replace at all signups or data factory and that. And I can tell you that I haven't heard about that. I think that both will be there in parallel because there are some specific needs from customers that will require steering signups and platform as a service. But we are even working in integrations with data lakes and existing pipelines and existing data factories to use them here. And if you have heard about data democratization, this is a good example. Because here we are giving access to different users with different experiences to the same portal. So if a user is good by doing data science, we can give them a notebook and they can go and work on top of the data. If a user is doing some data transformation and they use Power Query, we can give them access to Power Query. And if we have a data analyst that is doing some reports, we can give them access to the same Power BI environment that you have here. You can see something like Copilot here, so you can go and ask for some visualizations and that. So as you can see here, we're running a query directly from the portal. That's why I say that we don't need the SQL Server Management Studio. We can do serverless pools here. So this is interesting. I think that taking a look at this is interesting. And again, all this is tied to ROI, and all this is tied to the how, because most of the times, I would say like 80% of the times, the IT teams are handling all these data integrations, permissions. They need to go and open a gateway. They need to go and give access to specific databases. They need to go and create users for the databases. So here we are just using that kind of abstraction layer and giving access directly to the content. So what you are seeing there is just it's a Copilot building some reports here. I am not sure if we have the end of the result here in this slide, but yeah, we have it. So with just some natural language query, we create all these dashboards here that of course you can go and change, and not only the filters, but the look and feel. So this is interesting, and this is why we are so excited to work with this product. We have some customers. I will say that we have at least 2 or 3 customers in Caribbean using this in production already. The Fabric, the end-to-end, and the one lake, all this, and they are happy with the results and how they are sharing data with different departments inside their companies. So we work with Databricks. This is open format, so this is not proprietary from Microsoft. What we are using is like Lakehouse architecture. It's not from Microsoft. We are using Parquet files. It's not from Microsoft. We use a lot of open source technologies here, and same with integrations. One of the common things thinking of both, again, customers and partners, that we only work with Microsoft proprietary SQL databases, but we do have a lot of options for open source, and even we have a lot of connectors for other clouds. So I don't know if you saw that, but we mentioned, I think, GCP and AWS there, because we can ingest data from those clouds too. That's important because we think about the integration. Okay, so these are the different users that we are empowering with this platform. So of course, business analysts, executives can go and make use of the end phase, let's say the analytics side and reporting creation and all the insights that are ready to be consumed. Then we have all these data engineering people here. We have data scientists that can go and use this directly to developers too, because what you saw was like in the user interface, but this could be used programmatically too. So we can use like a code first approach and don't touch the interface at all if you want, and develop your products on top of the the data that you are building. And of course, we're talking about security and an IT professional too. Basically, what we do here is just create different experiences. So you can click on there is a button in the bottom left side of the window, and you can change from data engineering to data integration to stream analytics or whatever you need there. And these are some of the common use cases we have here around data professionals. So you will see some challenges, you will see positions like data stewards there. This is something more related with data governance and data sprawl. But you can see that we are just targeting every single user that is interacting somehow with the data. Okay, we already see this one. This is exactly the same case of having Copilot there helping us with this. And I think that I do have one more to show you here. Okay, yeah, this is some feedback we're receiving from our top customers around the world. So we have Coca-Cola, we have Tachi Solutions, we have Munich Reinsurance and KPMG that are already using this for different solutions. And we have like adoption pattern here that I think that this is not part of this conversation. But the message here is that what we are trying to do with analytics is trying to modernize data estates, but not only because we want to, it's because we know that it brings a lot of value to companies. It accelerates time to market, time to value, and we see that this is helping a lot. Because if you think about who is using Power BI, and I will say that from our customer base in Caribbean, I could think about 85 to 90% of our customers are using Power BI somehow in a basic level, or they could be using like more than others, but they are already there. So they know how to work with Power BI and they could take advantage of the rest of the stack. Sometimes I have seen I saw this case in an insurance customer, I think, last week. They have to wait 2 days for the data integration on-prem to happen. So we were trying to do something in the cloud to accelerate that process because it was a compute issue, right? Compute was just being fully in use, and this prevent them to have this in 1 hour or half an hour. So they had to wait like 2 days because there were a lot of moving pieces. So we need to start thinking about how to help them just have better insights and in a faster time. Of course, all these topics are tied to return of investment at the end of the day, because if we have the data at the right moment, we could take decisions on time. There are some cases where we have you need different things to work with data, right? You need questions and you need data. Sometimes you have questions, but you don't have the data. Or sometimes the other way around, you have data, but you don't have the right questions to ask. So we need to put together a plan to bring those topics on the same line and bring some more value. So we do have some more minutes, but I want to check if I am telling you makes sense, if you have any questions, concerns there around this.
Just a question from me, David. Just for get like general understanding, especially for our partners here, for the projects that you are currently working on now in the data and AI space, what general industries are they from?
We are working mostly with financial services. I do have 2 or 3 cases where we're starting some envisioning sessions that are from manufacturing and retail, but mostly financial services. I will say that financial services is a big one, yeah.
So
And
we can
just
see,
a quick comment, Adriana.
right?
This, because I mentioned Power BI a lot, but this is an Azure service. I mean, Fabric runs in the powerbi.com platform. Then you can go to fabric.com, and that's one part, but the capacity itself is Azure. So this is Azure consumption. This is
Okay.
month-to-month billing. Yeah, just a clarification there.
Thanks for that. All right. So if we do we have any more questions?
Yeah.
All
So
right.
maybe just a last comment here from my side. We did have a similar session from some partners in Costa Rica a couple of months ago, and some of the concerns came in the way of skills and resources readiness. So sometimes we need to start thinking on data engineers to join the team, or even if we have some data people on the team just trying to skill up and go to something like Fabric, that would be easy. So I think that the data engineering is the core of what we are doing with the data and AI. So and then you can start thinking about next level as machine learning engineers and data science and some other jobs. But data engineering will be the key because they will be the ones that building all these, let's say, data landing zones and trying to put together all the data points and working on that. So maybe we think about readiness. That should be a good starting point. There is, by the way, a good training path for Fabric available on Microsoft Learn. So and a lot of resources on that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So Diego, you have to leave us, but thank you for your insight today. Thank you for the information. And we do wish you a good rest of the day. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot. And
Thanks
if
for
you have
inviting me.
any questions for Diego or anything around data and AI, you can reach out to me and we will connect you to him and his team.
Yep, that's the
All
way.
right.
Yeah.
All
Thank you for the
right.
time.
Thanks, Diego.
Have a good one, everyone.
All
Bye bye.
right. All right. So as we have a short amount of time left, we're just going to run through the rest of the security aspects of Azure. And just as a refresher for those of you who may have not gone through most of these really, but we have just a bit of information, just understanding how the same data and AI that was being discussed a while ago integrates into the security stack and how we can have those built-in services used in our customers' environments. So moving right along, we have the concerns that we have in the cybersecurity landscape now, where ransomware attacks are becoming more frequent and more sophisticated. We're also having the issue where, of course, we have the costs associated with this are increasing. And for the average cost of a data breach now is 4.45 million, as stated by the cost of a data breach in the IBM security report in 2023 that had a 2.3% increase in since the previous year of 4.35 million in 2022. And now with that, of course, we are now having, a bit more pressure when it comes to ensuring that our environments are now secure and our customers' environments are secure. And it's no longer segregated from big companies or Fortune 500s or the companies that we are aware of in the US and the Europe and all of those spaces. It is now in our own backyard, and we have been seeing several cybersecurity attacks um, in our organizations here in the Caribbean. And so we want to be able to ensure that when we're having these conversations with our customers, they know that they have their security in Azure across all of the areas, including from the identity and access management layer, which is now the border of our environment, to the applications and data running on top of that, the networks in which these are hosted, and then, of course, you have threat protection and embedded security management, not only from Microsoft, but also from the third party partner solutions that you might already see on premises or what they're familiar with on premises, they can purchase these from the the Azure Marketplace. So one of the key workloads we want to look at today is Sentinel. And I'm not sure how many of us have been familiar with Sentinel. It is basically a SIEM, which is a security and incident management solution. It's entirely cloud native and it's powered by AI and automation. And we were kind of just discussing now, which empowers businesses now to use the scale of the cloud and flexibility and the speed of the cloud, as well as Diego had mentioned, and then to eliminate the time and the money that they're spending on managing traditional scenes. So how it works essentially is that it will, one, it will ingest all of the data from the different data points in your environment, whether that is from on premises, from infrastructure in the cloud, and not just in Azure, but in other clouds such as AWS and GCP, wherever you have a connector. Then, of course, you also have from applications and your users. When that is ingested, you have then the AI capabilities that produces your threat intelligence. It provides the security orchestration and automation responses that will allow you to automate how you're going to act on the various threats that are coming into your environment. It does its own threat hunting across all of the environments that you have it connected to. And of course, it gives you actionable alerts and re re recommendations that you can utilize to ensure that your environment is secure. Then, of course, you want to take a look at Defender for Cloud. And we've spoken about this before. I always talk about this. Defender for Cloud is one of the important ways that we can ensure that our environments are are secure, not just in Azure, but also on premises and in other clouds. So Microsoft enables us to have a hybrid approach when it comes to our different environments. It gives us the ability to not only migrate our resources and our workloads to Azure, but gives us the capabilities to maximize how we're doing our digital transformation, and of course, to secure not only what we have in the cloud, but to secure what we have on premises with that as well. And one of the ways that we do this is through the use of Azure Arc. Now, with Azure Arc, you're able to extend the different security features, and not just security features, but to extend your environment, policies, security features, and certain ways of management for your infrastructure across your multi-cloud, so AWS, GCP, Azure, as well as your on-premises environment, to have that single pane of glass management and security when it comes to your environment. With that, you also have the extension of what we just mentioned before, Defender for servers from Azure to your Arc-enabled servers that are on premises. You can have the security from posture management to vulnerability assessments, the features such as just-in-time access that enables just your users to access what they need to, when they need to, and reduce the amount of privileges that are available in your environment to then protect essentially against cybersecurity attacks that are utilizing privileged accounts. You can block malware, and of course, you can remediate certain issues to stay compliant. And one thing that we probably have not seen before, and we is very important for us to consider, especially in our customers' environments where we have customers that have server OS that is now end of life but not out of support, like server 2012. You can have ARC enabled extended security updates. So not leaving your environment vulnerable. If you don't want to migrate right now, you don't have the capacity to migrate right now, you can use Azure Arc to extend extended security updates to your servers on premises to stay compliant and to reduce your threat your threat exposure. And so with that, there are several things to consider when it comes to Azure and the benefits of that and how you can maximize what you already have by using a hybrid environment, as well as to be able to extend some of the features from Azure to your on-premises environment. If you have any questions on how you can utilize Azure Arc is free. We can check on your customers and see how we can implement some of these security extensions to their environment and management for extra security and extra integration. All right, everyone, do you have any questions? You can let me know here. I see a question, did Microsoft buy Sentinel? Sentinel, so they had Azure Sentinel, they had their version of Sentinel. I'm not sure if there was another company that had Sentinel, but Microsoft has their version of Sentinel, SIEM and SOAR threat detection response application, sorry. Do we have any other questions? Oh, well, it was previously known as Azure Sentinel. Now it's Microsoft Sentinel. Just a name change, but for the general sense of company called Sentinel, not sure about that, but that's the name of the tool set that they have there. Any other questions? All right, well, if we are good, thank you all again for joining today's session. I hope it was informative. And if you have any questions related to this security, this hybrid maximization of your customers' environments, or integrating data and AI or security into your customers' environments, you can reach me at the email I am dropping in this chat. Thank you all for joining, and do have a wonderful rest of your day.